Welcome back, travelers, to your referral roadmap. This podcast is dedicated to helping you unleash your personal and business revenue potential by cultivating referral relationships. In this 10-part series, we are diving into the value factor, how helping others fuels business growth. We'll be exploring how adding value in business can be a key driver of success, offering insights and strategies to master this essential skill to build your own referral-based business. Today, we are talking about creating value through education with our special guest, Victoria Lynn Woods. Welcome, Victoria.
So excited to have her.
Well,
Yes.
I'm so excited to be here. So thank you so very much for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. And we will give Victoria a very proper introduction here in a minute, but I do want to go ahead and define what we're talking about for our travelers today. So we are talking about, creating that value through education, which really means we're sharing knowledge, skills, and insights that empower others to grow, improve, and succeed. So by offering those educational resources, trainings, or expertise, a business can build that trust, foster long-term relationships, and position themselves as the valuable partner in their clients' or colleagues' successes. So Athena, I know you usually have a story. Do you have a story for us today?
I do. And I don't want to take too long on the story because I can't wait for the interview section. You guys, if you're on your treadmill, you're driving, you want to save this one. I know you're going to have some great nuggets today. So I'm very excited. But yes, I do have a story. So I had to tell you this subject right here about education means so much to me. If you guys know, if you follow us at all, I'm all about what do we give people practical tips, right? To enhance their life, their business, etc. Well, the reality is if you go on to, you guys know I own multiple businesses. Well, one of them is a home building business. And we took this theory to the max. And we decided to create content that was educational for not only our end user, the person, our client, the person purchasing. And we have over 250 educational blogs on our website, 6 ebooks. So much so that we had to take our SEO and limit how and make sure that we put it into our geographical area because it went viral. And it showed me the importance of getting just education out there because sometimes people are not ready to buy. They want to be educated. They want you to give them something of value before they call you and talk to you about the service, right? So that is critical. So if you are listening right now and you're like, I wish I could engage people at the top of the funnel, you guys, this is a powerful tool. The other thing I'll say also about that same website is we found that in the home building world, our number one referral partner was real estate agents. And so given that, we created CE classes on a home builder website for real estate agents. Only one in the United States. I did some research. We're the only builder in the United States that did that. Why do we do that? Because exactly what we're talking about. Because we know not only for the people buying or building the homes, but for the people that we're working with, how do we use education to edify, deepen the relationship, and let them know that they're valuable? So if you want to see what that looks like in real life, Jado, you'll go ahead and put the Turner & Son website in there.
Absolutely.
Not that you probably are going to want to build a custom home in Oklahoma. That's not the point. The point is to see what we're talking about in real life. So take a look at that. We have seen a substantial increase in conversion ratios, relationship deepening because of that. So that's my story. And we'll give you a link to actually see what that looks like. But Jada, I know some people like my stories, but some people are like you and they want the facts and figures. They want the details. So we'll go to the details and then we're going to bring in our amazing guest.
Yes, some of us are very detailed. So I have 4 different studies I wanted to share some resources or research on.
Yeah.
One of them is an Edelman study. He found that 64% of people cite a company's trustworthiness as being strongly linked to the educational content that they provide. When businesses offer that valuable educational resource, it demonstrates their expertise and builds trust within their audience, is what that research found.
Wow.
So, I mean, pretty much just supporting exactly what you just told everyone, Athena. Another one was the Demand Gen report found that 74% of buyers choose a company that would first provide useful educational content during their buying journey. So educational resources such as ebooks, as you mentioned, webinars, tutorials that really help guide those buyers toward making the decisions leading to the higher conversion rates.
Okay, can we just stop? 74%. You guys, if you do not have educational material on your website, in your repertoire of content, 74%. I'm just,
Huge.
You're like, hello. Right.
And then, our travelers, if they've been with us for a while, they always know I pull research from HubSpot because we love HubSpot research. So a study by HubSpot found that companies that educate their customers experience 36% higher customer retention rates. Those educated customers are more likely to succeed with a product or service, making them less likely to burn and churn. So
retention's great.
Yep, we love the retention. And then one more, just because, I love the statistics. A report by Content Marketing Institute found that businesses using educational content in their marketing strategy saw 60% higher sales than those relying on the traditional sales pitches. The approach is called Teach, Don't Sell, and it provides valuable information that empowers customers to make informed decisions, which in turn drives sales. So I know they're probably tired of hearing me talk. So without further ado, I really want to give a proper introduction to Victoria Lynn Woods. And Victoria is internationally known as the financial diva. She is the founder and CEO of Chapelwood Financial Services, an intensive wealth management firm for millionaires managing client relationships from coast to coast. The financial diva holds the founder position of the 84-acre financial district of Oklahoma. The financial diva has been spotted multiple times on national television, so we are so lucky to have her here with us today. And she has been passionately educating her communities on her own weekly top-rated news radio show on 1000 KTOK, I think I'm pronouncing that right, in Oklahoma City, and iHeartMedia talk station called It's All About the Money, Honey. Victoria has held this position in the news media for years and loves the opportunity to relay answers to people who are seeking advice in any column. So Victoria is a wealth of knowledge. We cannot wait to hear from you today. And so without further ado, Athena, you want to go ahead and kick us into the interview portion?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Victoria, first of all, thank you so much. We know you're in demand, and we are humbled and thankful to have you here today.
Oh, I'm thrilled to death to be here.
Yes.
I love your girls, your energy, what you're about. It's about education. I've been a proponent for years about giving value first. So we're all in alignment.
I love this. I love it. Well, you have an extraordinary career and a lot of accomplishments. I remember the first time I came to your office and I was kind of starstruck. I'm not going to be embarrassed to say this. And I'm walking through your office and I see all these pictures of you with all of these famous political people and movers, shakers around the country. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm a little scared to talk to her, right? And I was like, oh. And then one of my friends, Dima, came up and she goes, no, you have to meet her. She's extraordinary. So, I have to just be honest with you. I was like, oh, I got to meet her. You have this amazing career. Please share with our audience the story of how your journey became started, and then what drove you to the financial world.
Well, it's a very interesting story. My whole life has been, Athena. And again, thank you and Jada for allowing me to be here today. I started actually in the fashion industry. So I have a merchandising degree. So that was my passion. And I was a preteen model. I worked as a Wendy Ward fashion model for Montgomery Ward. I taught classes on Saturdays for young women. I mean, I loved all the fashion. However, I got into the world of fashion and was at a store, and I was very blessed by having these two gentlemen actually recruit me. And how they got to recruit me is because of the value that I brought. However, getting to that point was like, how did you go from fashion to finance? Paula Erickson at the Daily Oklahoma did this great story. She was supposed to do a little blip at the bottom of the business page, and she has a 2-page spread after talking to me.
It's amazing.
She wove it so beautifully using fashion and what I do in finance, and it's about education. But I started in the fashion world, which I loved, and I was happy. you have to understand that I grew up in, people don't want to say poverty, so I say humbly. Seven of us in a little box house. My mom, my father abandoned us, and my mom had four kids. And here she's struggling, trying to put food on the table and a roof over our heads. And it was a challenge and a struggle all the time. And I was just like, that's not going to be me. I don't know what or how, but that's not going to be me. So I started my first business, my little entrepreneurial business, at 12 years old. We had
Wow.
this little box house we had a fence that there was a gate that went to an apartment complex behind our house. So I just watched and observed and realized these women, these moms have a problem. They've got to go to work. They can't afford a babysitter. So instead of babysitting, and I played with all the kids. I organized games. I was the leader, the little runt of the group, but I was the leader. So I realized I started offering my babysitting skills. And instead of babysitting one child, I babysat 6 at a time.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. At 12 years old.
At 12 years old. I wouldn't let a 12-year-old with my babies now. I was very in control, and these women needed help. And I mean, I'm talking infant babies to 12 years old. So that was my first job, because it allowed me to have lunch money. Because I'm talking, lights on, food, no lunch money. And it was very embarrassing, always going to school and you didn't have lunch money. And it was painful. So that really set when you talk about people's pain points or the reason for doing something, their why, that was my why. I'm never going to do that again. And then when I got recruited, what I realized is that I was so good in sales always that in the department store, I was top sales always, whether it was fashion, whether it was cosmetics, no matter what it was, whatever department, I became the youngest buyer. You want to know a real secret?
Yeah.
This is kind of juicy. Go back. You can research this. Do you know why we have colored lingerie?
No.
Why?
At 23, I was the youngest buyer. I go to New York, and a company called, we all know it, Maidenform. And Maidenform came out with this new line of, get this, very, very tantalizing, blush, black, and white in sets. That's all we had. And I was so excited about it. I'm watching the fashion show. I think everybody's going to be excited. And all these old men and old women that had been buying bras and girdles for all of these department stores, they're like, oh, bless her little heart. She's going to get fired. Because I'm excited. It was called Sweet and Sassy. Oh. And I came back and I bought it for every single one of our stores. Sales went out the roof. Couldn't keep them in stock. Got in trouble because I couldn't keep the in-stock position. But I'm praised for having the top sales at 23. I feel like I'm 23 years old. And I remember being so scared, though. I made the decision. I put the packages together. And I remember sleeping and going to bed the night they were going to ship. And I remember waking up. I mean, literally, I can see myself right now laying in bed, my orange, crummy apartment, but orange shag carpet in that room. And I remember sitting straight up in bed going, what have I done? And my heart starts palpitating. It's either going to be a huge success, right? Or I'm going to be embarrassed. Because you know what they said? This was their reason for not being excited. Well, why in the world would we need color lingerie? Because nobody sees it anyway.
Oh.
Seriously.
Wow.
It said out loud, and I went,
we have progressed. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and then look at Victoria's Secret, right?
Yes.
Every color.
Maybe Wes Wexner got the name from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can think about is when I open my panty drawer, I promise you, I open my panty drawer. It's very big and it's got those little cones in it. And I see all the colors and I think it's kind of like sensation overload, But I look at that and I go, wouldn't it be horrible if all we had was black and, white. That was it. So, yeah. So that's a little juice that most people don't know. I mean,
that's awesome.
So we go back to being recruited. And these gentlemen came into my store. So I had moved, my husband had a job in Denver. And so we got married. We moved to Denver. And I worked for a store called Printemps. And they were from Neiman Marcus, opened up Stanley Korshak, and then opened up Printemps. They wanted me to be the department manager for all of fashion. What I wanted to do was do something that was brand new and be a concierge for busy business owners.
Yeah.
To help them buy gifts for their family, buy gifts for their clients, have a profile on them. And that's what I created. And the Bill, I'll never forget, he sits there and he's like, okay, but I thought you'd be really great for me for all of this. And I go, yeah, I would be. However, this is what I want to do because I know there's a need for it. And we would be like the first ones, right? So we did, hugely successful, top sales in the store again. So it was really a lot of fun. But this gentleman, I was waiting for a girlfriend in a bar and I had my notebook and I'm working. And the gentleman looks at me, Mr. Wheeler. He says, Miss Woods. He goes, what are you doing? This is a bar. It's 5:30. And I said, well, I'm waiting for my girlfriend, but I'm preparing for tomorrow. I have some clients that I need to, buy things for and all. And he says, what? And so I tell him, he says, I got a lead for you. Byron Lucas. I just left him, very successful. His wife is high maintenance, and I said, give me his name and number. He says, oh, you won't call him. I'm working in a bar, right? I'm working. And I went, okay, buddy, you call Mr. Lucas by 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
What happens? I do it. And he comes in the store and he stands me up. I have an appointment. He stands me up. That's not going to happen for me. So I kindly call him and say, I know you must be so devastated. Is everything okay? Is your health okay? Is your family okay? He's like stumbling over his words. And I said, let's just reschedule. So we rescheduled the appointment. Stands me up again. I said, I've never been stood up in my life. This beautiful card. This is a real lesson people need to learn.
Yes.
You don't ignore it that he stood you up. You don't call and berate him. You call with true, honest concern. Because, sir, I know you really wanted this appointment, and I can't imagine. I know you're disappointed. I can't imagine what happened. So I hope everything's okay with you and your family and your business. So when he does it a second time, we had these cards with the picture of the store. And so I wrote him this lovely note. I am so sorry that you had to miss your appointment. I said, let's do this. Next time you're in the neighborhood, in the middle, in capital letters, underlined, just drop in. I'd be happy to see you. And I mailed it so he would get it on Monday, my day off, because the deal was his office was across the parking lot from, if I was Tom Brady, I could throw a football and hit his office building. He didn't have to get in his car. All he had to do was walk across the parking lot to this store that is, beautiful, lovely crystal chandeliers. So he calls me and says he wants to hire me. And the fact is that I said, why would I want to work for you? Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
I am very happy with what I do. I said, I have the best clients. This is what we do now. But, I'm always open to listen to an opportunity. And he convinced me. He said, the way you follow up and the value you bring, he used those words, the way you follow up, Victoria, you need to be in our industry. I didn't even know what it was. And then, it took him 7 months. He and his partner, it took him 7 months to convince me because I knew I loved what I did, but I also don't ever be stupid. Don't always look at an opportunity that's available because you can always say no. And you will educate yourself on, okay, what is this industry? Is there a problem that I can solve? And I realized I had earned so much money. Every year my salary doubled because I was good in sales and loved what I did and, built these clients. But the problem was, it's like when you earn a lot of money, guess what happens? If you don't know how to invest or save, or you have no education.
Spend a lot of money.
And see, girls get it. Like, we have the best cars, we have the best jewelry.
Yep.
We take our friends out, they love us. We're
Been there, done that.
been there, done that. Bought the t-shirt too.
Yep.
We have everything, right? But boy, it got my attention, and I thought about it. And I said, if I'm in this situation where I don't know what to do or how to do it, this is going to be an opportunity for me because I always have to find value in serving. I'm just a born servant, that I have to serve people. And if I can learn how to do it for myself and I can share it with other people, then, and you can call it teaching, share it, then it's going to be, it's going to be a win-win for everybody. And so he convinced me that after 7 months, so I got in the insurance business first, and then we added securities, and now we're one of the top wealth managers in the country, and being a female, and having, we just met what's called the highest level for a female, is the platinum level, the only skirt in the room for almost 25 years.
Wow.
25 plus years. Now we're getting more women recently, but we have 100% retention of our clients. It's unheard of in the industry.
Wow.
JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they all wanted to interview me, Genworth, at the financial crisis, because they said, you can't not lose clients. I mean, everybody lost clients. And I went, I remember being on the Today Show, and JP Morgan invited me over in New York, put me in this big boardroom, dark, glass wall, and they double teamed me in there, and they put me in this chair. Now I'm only 5 foot. I felt like Edith Ann because my feet wouldn't touch the floor, very intimidating, in other words, but I just sat there going, okay. And they come in and they keep questioning me and grilling me about, your clients, the rumor. They would say, the rumor is you lost no clients. I said, correct. No, they're looking at each other going, no, that's not possible. And I go, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Okay, you boys, but they were just so frustrated. They couldn't figure this out, right? So they kept looking at each other. I go, no, you had to lose it. I remember doing this because I just went, okay. I went, gentlemen, what part of zero do you not understand?
Yeah, you did.
I did. And I just sat there, like, can I leave now? I want to go shopping. I've just been on I'm doing you a favor here by coming over, because everybody in the whole JP Morgan big old New York office is like, oh my gosh, she was just on TV and everybody watched it and it was really fun. I'm like, I want to go celebrate and have, go shopping, actually.
You're like, I'm in New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would we do that in New York? No, actually, I went over to the restaurant and they popped champagne towards NBC studios.
How fun.
SUV, and I went, I'm glad you popped that champagne and not me. So, yeah.
I love that.
That happen. And you do, when you give value and you talk about it. Education is the core, Athena, of what we do. And I realized building the company, we had 3 real problems in finance. And that is especially women. They would come to me and say, I can't sleep at night. They would say, Ms. Woods, I don't understand my statements. I don't know if I've made money or lost because it's just, I can't figure this out. And so I just set out seriously to solve those problems and to show people how it can be different. I understand the problems because I listen. And I said, okay, well, first of all, we're going to speak English to you, because they would complain that men, because they were all men advisors, right? So men would talk over their heads, or, poor little girl, just do what I tell you to do kind of thing. And they wouldn't allow them to ask questions and feel comfortable asking questions. So in my office, we had a rule. First of all, we can speak Greek to the, Greek people, and we can speak English, but we're going to speak English to you. And if we ever, and my staff knows this, it is, there is no forgiving. If we say something you don't understand, or you have a question about it, you stop us. Because what I know is that if you're sharing something with someone and they glaze over, their eyes glaze over, you can see in their head, they're going, what is she talking about? They're not going to hear the rest of it. So you have to give people permission to stop, ask a question, and feel comfortable. It's like guest speaking. I make everybody feel very comfortable in a room of 400 or 1,000 or 200 or 2, that if you have a question, you raise your hand and I will stop and I will repeat the question and I will answer it for you. Because if you have that question, there's probably other people.
Amen.
And as we just did a mentorship program, Athena, I'm going to already just tell you now, I'm going to ask you to be a mentor for young women on February 7th. It's going to be a big deal here in Oklahoma City with 100 young girls. But I tell people and teach them that, when we get so professional, we've done what we do for so long that we're inside our bottle and we cannot read our label.
Mm.
So we're in here and we just expect people to know what we know, and that doesn't happen. So it's good to have what we call fresh eyes and somebody.
I'm gonna stop you here because we have this thing called mic drop moments. And
that was
listeners, that was a mic drop moment. That was a mic drop moment. Will you repeat that?
Yes.
Show us your cup and repeat that, because this is critical.
Yeah, I usually use I have a deep bottle of water. We have our own, and I tell everybody it's magic. But when you think about this, just think about a bottle of water, or think about a mug like I have. You're inside. You can't read the label. It's not possible. So you want somebody to franchise you. It's like when I get asked, Victoria, what is the thing? Because I was just recently asked this on an IT panel. Victoria, what is the one thing that you wish you would have done earlier? And I talk about its education. I was so focused on my little company and grinding and just every day, I didn't do enough community building. I just thought I don't have time to do that. I mean, but it is valuable if you do it strategically. Because I was doing a lot of things like chamber and all. You have to find your people in your niche, those people that will support you, because everybody wants you to be on their everything, and but you can't. Figure out what it is. The other thing is that I would have hired coaches sooner. Absolutely. Yeah. Because again, it's like I'm inside my bottle. I cannot read my label.
Yep.
Who's watching you swing? There's a coach named Coach Nate. He talks about who's watching you swing. Even, Tiger Woods has a swing coach. Everybody has somebody looking at them, because again, we're inside. We can't see. That's why they videotape you. So you can't see yourself. It's simple things. And if you think about it, gosh, it makes sense. I wish I would have done that earlier. I think I would have been much more successful earlier. And it's also that Stephen Covey thing about you have to slow down sometimes to speed up.
Yeah, I don't love that one, but I understand it.
Everybody knows Victoria is full throttle.
Yeah.
When somebody tells me to slow down, which they do, they have multiple times, you should slow down. You don't have to work so hard. Maybe I'm like, okay, I think in my head, and sometimes it comes out of my mouth, but I think in my head, how do you think I got where I was?
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Like cruising and doing, no. And if you want to call me a workaholic, I used to be embarrassed about that. Oh, I own it. But I don't believe there's, in this work-life balance, sorry, don't believe in that either. Your life should be your work and your work should be your life. While you're living life, you can still work. Well, people ask me what I do for a living, and it depends on where I am. But I love saying I make millionaires' dreams come true. I don't say I'm in the insurance business, I'm the wealth management. No, I'm just like, because I do. What is it that the end result? The end result is making people's dreams come true. A guy did a video of me at the end, because I must have said something like that in that quote, and he put Disney fireworks, at the end of this little video clip saying, it makes, adults' dreams come true. But I say, millionaires, because that's what we decided, as we grew the company, that is where I could bring the most value. And it was all, if I had not, just think, rewind, if I had not taken that opportunity just to listen to this gentleman, Byron Lucas and Roger McCarty, and we were associates until Roger passed away. So, I mean, that is a long, long tenure. But if I had not at least looked at the opportunity, slowed down a bit, still loving what I do, didn't want to give it up. My intuition was, and my gut says, I'm going to learn something and I'm really going to help a lot of people. And I have. I was at an event with the Salvation Army when Sam Bradford did an event here, fundraising, and brought in the Tui family.
Yeah.
Blindside. Oh, yeah. Lovely. Brought them in. They're big Salvation Army people and supporters. And a gentleman walked up to me that I have not seen has to be, now he's in Norman, but I have not seen him, named Ralph. I haven't seen him probably in 25 years. And he walks over to me and I smiled. I was like, gosh, I know that guy. And he worked for Tommy Ferguson. down in Norman, and he was his controller. And he comes over to me after, and I smiled and walked. I went to the restroom. I came back. I sat down. He comes over and he stands right here beside me. He says, Victoria, I just want to let you know that, he said, I still have that insurance policy, that cash value that, you came in and presented to our company, to all our employees. And it has really been a blessing to me and my family.
Wonderful.
So, when you get those moments, it's like, thank you, Lord, for presenting that opportunity to know that what you did has made a difference in people's lives.
Yes. Amen.
Well, we have clients right now, they're all over. We have one in Australia. We have one in Alaska. And they send us pictures and on an email on their vacation. It makes me cry too, Jada, that they're saying, they stop and say, we would have never been able to do this, or we never, we are dreamed about it, but you all said, why would you wait? And people started getting better about that during COVID. I've always said, your health is your wealth. I've always known that. Your health is your wealth. If you do not have your health, your wealth does not matter. It does not matter. So always create those experiences with your family. Plan, budget. Be smart about it, but we can show you how to live your dreams now while you're still healthy enough to do it.
Let me go. I want to go back to something you were talking about earlier. I love that. I love that you make dreams come true. That's as a person of service, that is your ultimate goal. And I love that you've connected those dots. But you said, and I want to go back to the education piece here. Somebody comes into you and they have some money. They're a millionaire, close to a millionaire, and they don't know. So how did you, if I were to come to you and say, I know how to do what I'm doing.
Right.
But teach me, what educational resources or tools did you learn? This is what I've got to do to help these people understand so that they could even actually make their dreams come true. First of all, what are those tools and how did you learn? Because I want the people listening to think through their businesses and what's stopping people from doing what they need to do with them, and what resources do they need to create. So help them go through that little minds.
Well, there's so many things that we do. We have educational courses. We have content online at our chapelwood.com or thefinancialdiva.com. I just decided that, and I started with education. So I would go into business owners. This is how I started the company, business owners, and help their employees understand their company benefits, what percentage of the benefits and where they came. Like people don't know that an employer puts in 50% into Social Security and they put in 50%. They have no idea. And when you look at it, the average employee, you're going to love this, Jada, the average employee receives really between 23 and 25% in actual benefits that are not in their paycheck. So you share with them what they are, and that's what I would do for them. I'd take the company's benefits, put a booklet together and share with them, and then offer them a salary savings program. So we did that. And that was what Ralph was referring to. He was like, Victoria, it was so beneficial. I have never had, people, the business owners would come to me when we finished. I always went in for a follow-up, said, how did this work for you? Thank you for allowing us. These are the results. I would have owners like Tommy Ferguson, Dale Daniels, all of these mile car guys. It was one after another. And they said, well, first of all, Tommy Ferguson doesn't let anybody come into his company since 1959. So how you made this happen, we don't know. I said, I'm glad you didn't tell me that before I went and met with him.
You're like, because I don't take no for an answer. That's why.
That's why.
Because I bring value, though. And I want
exactly.
When you come in with value, I call it bulletproof because I already experienced it for myself. When you experience it for yourself, you can come in with passion and go, hey, this is beneficial. But you present it to them. But they would say to me, Victoria, we have never had employees come in and knock on my door and say, sir, I just want to thank you. Thank you. I didn't realize what you were doing for me. Thank you for I would show them how much he spent in coffee for them.
Wow.
You don't have to do this. But
Yeah.
It's a thing. So it's education. And when you give education and value, then it's going to continue longevity. And it gives you the reputation. And so I would go back to their companies every 6 months. That goes back to my 100% retention with my clients. I retained all of those clients, whether they were from Norman. I did one of my favorites was the Miami Mushroom Factory, JM Farms. Amazing.
I love this. Miami mushroom. I love this.
It's so great. It's so much fun. But so then as you grow in your business, you start educating yourself and finding ways to educate. Then, of course, I'd be interviewed on the radio a lot. And then I think the book came next before the radio show. Oh no, the radio show was first. They asked me to do a radio show on KTOK, #1 talk news radio show. I thought they were kind of crazy. I was like, okay, be careful what you ask for. You're going to give me a live mic. And it was live. I had called in Chris. Loved it to do that to this day. And we've done that since like 2003. So it's educating people and they can listen like a podcast. And now it's a radio show on Facebook, on podcasts. It's everywhere. And we'll be in the finance arena. We'll be like #4, #6 in the country. Damon's always telling me, I don't know. He's telling me the producer is always saying, Victoria, I just want to be #1 once. So I was like, listen, let's take what we can. We're helping people. Then we started the Chapelwood. My book was next. The first edition of my book. Now, it's always been the same. If I'm going to name the show, which they wanted to call it on KTOK, the Chapelwood Forum. No, that is not me. Look at me. That does not work for me. And I couldn't come up with anything short. I believe in 3 words and all, but it could. This explains it all. And it gets people's attention because now they want to debate me because I say it's all about the money, honey. And when they want to debate me, oh, please. Because it takes me about 30 seconds and I can have a room of 450 women. But this is the second edition. The first edition came out and it's me. The publishers always want you. So we self-published because the publishers wanted me to have a ghostwriter. I tried it. I said, okay, y'all are the professionals. I will try. No. It did not sound like me. And when you read this book, you go, every chapter was like, oh my gosh, I can hear Victoria.
That's essential though. That's essential. Yeah.
So what I put in here too is when you talk about education, what people can do, like hiring a financial advisor. When you hire a financial advisor, what you want to do is you go in and, you can Google, CFP will give you all these questions to ask. You know what the problem with that is?
Tell us.
The problem is you don't know what the answers are supposed to be.
They're right. You're right.
I knew that. So I go, because I can sit, what my actual superpower and gift is that I can be you. I can sit and be me, knowing what I know. And when I listen to you and when you share with me what your goals are and what you want to do and what where you are in the journey, I know what you need. And I can weed out all this stuff and just help you understand because there's thousands and thousands of choices of everything. But I can go in and say, this is what you need to look at. This is what who will help you reach your goals. I can put a strategist that's perfect for you. And that's just a gift that I have. And I know this. I recognize it. Go, okay. I thought everybody was this way, but they're not. But in the book, I give you the answers. So when you go hire someone, here's the questions you ask. And I say, this is what they should say. And if they don't waste your time. Just say, thank you very much. Stand up, shake their hand, and leave. That's all you have to do. And one of the most important things that people don't ask, which I always encourage, is about, okay, how do you charge? Because there's going to be commission. Do you get paid on commission? Do you get paid on fees? Just a fee, a flat fee? Or do you get paid hourly? There's all kinds of ways. And as the business owner of my company and my firm, I get to make the rules. And I always say, it depends. The one thing I hear all the time about the radio show for 25 plus years is you will joke and say, okay, Victoria, they ask a question, and then I'll say, and everybody goes in unison. If I'm in a group, like a speaking, everybody will say in the audience, it depends. And I've trained everybody on the radio show. I'll say, it depends. I was like, I'm going to say it again. It depends. Everything depends on you your goals, how much risk you want to take, how old you are, your health concerns. Are you going to get an inheritance? Do you have a business you're going to sell later on? That all plays into being really, truly custom. Because so many people have come to me, Athena, and wanted me to join their firm. I could name names, but
I bet.
yeah, they want me to join them. And you think, okay, that sounds good. Join forces, collaborate. And then you look under the hood and you find out they swear, they are personalized, they custom everything for every single client is special. No, you go in and they have 3, 4, or 6 buckets that they will put you in, or slots. And it's like, you fit this profile, this is going to be your, no, we don't do that. Is it more work? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Does it pay off? 100% retention. It's not heard of in our industry. So when you can keep saying we have 100% retention over the last 6 years, 5 years, 10 years, we have lost clients. And I mean, I am mortally devastated when we do. And I'll tell you one, they left because of fees. They thought of this guy was telling them pie in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
And they called me, asked me if I would have a cocktail and said, sitting there, I'm thinking, sure, I love these people. They're my friends. So of course, and we're talking, I'm just asking about the kids, how's business, how's your husband? And she says, okay, we're sitting at this bar, and she says, turns me around like this. And she turns around and she says, okay, this is the deal. It was my husband who wanted to leave, and I was just going to support him, but I have to because he's my husband. And boy, were we wrong.
Yep.
And I went, okay, well, honey, we all make mistakes. It's okay, darling. And she's like, no, what I'm asking is, would it be possible? Would you take us back? Absolutely. If I didn't like you, wouldn't be having a drink with you. I was like, of course we're going to help you. So those are the kind of experiences that you have. And so it is how you handle it too. If you lose a client, you should always want to know why. I mean, you want to know, what could we have done different or better? But if they don't want to have that conversation, or if they don't want to tell you the truth, which a lot of times that happened to us, he didn't want to say what it was about. And then it was really about the fees. And this guy said they'd provide this guy, and they got nothing. But what they learned, another nugget here, education is expensive.
Yes, very.
So when you make a mistake, just don't beat yourself up. Just say, you know what did I learn from that? Education, if you think of everything you do and any mistake you think you've made, if you turn it around or I turn everything to a positive, but it's, what did I learn? Okay, I learned something. So it was money. If you look at it, it was like going to college. I got it in return. I'm never going to do that again. And I did that with my first investment. And I talk about money and the importance of money and how money works and the mindset of money in the beginning, so that you understand everything by that we've all made mistakes with money. Because I have so many clients that will come in the first meeting was like, I am so embarrassed because I don't know what I did, and I was stupid, and I moved from advisor to advisor, and everybody promised and they didn't give. I said, look, this is where we are. We don't beat ourselves up in this office about things that we did in the past. We just say, did we learn from them? And how are we going to move forward using the information that we already now have? And that's all any of us can do. So we don't,
I love that.
Yeah, beat yourself up.
I love that. I love that you use education to retain your clients. Mm-hmm. Use education to make sure that they don't have guilt and shame about past.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love that. And I love that you've given a book to even prepare them, not only to hire you, but to hire anyone in your industry.
Just to educate you, because see what I realized, Athena, is I tried to save the world, and I had over 450 clients, and I had, that's the amount I gave up. I only kept a great deal and said, okay. And there was a gentleman that was getting in the business, and they were more appropriate for him. And we did a beautiful transition. And it was a win-win for everybody. Then we started building just millionaires and really talking about, this is who we are. So whatever industry you're in, it was like, oh, we'd serve everybody and anybody. Well, that's stupid. You cannot argue with me. It is wrong. You have to decide, who's my client? Who do I want to serve? What are their problems? What are their frustrations? What is it that they need that I can provide? And so we provide the best strategists in the country, but we don't have one or two. We have a whole platform, and it's called an open architectural platform. So the one thing that every single investor should have available to them is a statement that is, and I talk about it in the book, and I show you what the statement should look like. Because these statements that we get, nobody can understand them. They're all different, whether it's Schwab or JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs. They're all different for a reason. What you should have, and it is available to you, but it took me 3 years to find it back in 2003, I think. And it should be third grade math. It should be A plus or minus B plus or minus C equals D. This is how much money I put in. This is how much I withdrew or added. This is my gain or loss, and here's my total. We should all have that, but we don't. So when a new prospective client, which we call a future client in my office, there's no prospects there. They're all future. By the time they get to me, they're already going to be a client because they have read my book. We have educational classes at Francis Tuttle. We teach classes. We do CE classes, just like you were talking about earlier. We do a webinar. Our biggest probably, we do educational webinars like on taxes. We did 3 of those hugely. People love those because they want to know, what do I need to do to save money on taxes? It's a huge deal. But we also do a drive-through, a Wednesday drive-through. And people get on live. It's only 30 minutes. They're in their car. They're driving. And there's like, man, this is amazing. They can, ask questions in the chat. They can, but they get value of it from it. And they do that. Damon does those every Wednesday. So it's only 30 minutes, but it's and it's the, like the topic of what's going on in our economy right now, whether it was about the election or taxes, the sunsetting of these taxes in 2025, whatever is the topic of interest to people. I mean, and it's great. So, and it's live. So that's like the way to do, the radio show, which I would love for us all to go back to that, but it's all podcast now and recorded. So.
You are right. So there's a multiple way. So the listeners, I want to make sure that we pull out here. She is talking about a multi-platform educational. So I really want to make sure that you guys hear that from her. I have multi-layered education, but she's taken it to a whole nother level. So I want you to understand when you look at her success, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm just getting started, I'm not, as seasoned as Victoria is, start thinking. She just told you about understanding your target market. And if you follow me, that she just solidified it once again. You got to know who you're selling to and what their pains are. Start with creating, right? Education to their pain. So I really wanted to make sure that you guys heard that. But to that point, Victoria, for those listening, what would you say they don't have any education for their clients? Tell me where you'd start them out.
Okay, what I'm saying, so there's 2 different things here. When you're talking to a business owner, for me, I really encourage, because being a small business owner of 3 companies myself and all successful, that it's all, I can teach you about best business practices, how to create that ideal client and that service model for them. When you're talking about now, then I switch hats and I go, okay, you've been very successful in what you've done, whether they're my anesthesiologist, an engineer, an entrepreneur, you've been very successful. And I remind them of a commercial in 2008 when they were showing you in the whole Enron issue that they had these little commercials, and it looked like the little guy from Monopoly with his little bag of money. And they had this building, like, you work for ABC Company or you are ABC Company. You don't ever put everything back into your company. That's what we do. I did it myself.
I'm doing that. I said I need to come talk to you.
Yes, but you don't, that's a big mistake. And it's easy trap, because why? It's what we know. And we feel like, I know this. What happens is, though, and I've seen this happen with business owners as I worked with them all across Oklahoma. And that's when I really learned, because I would say to the business owner, now what is your plan? I talk to your employees, but what are you doing? And they go, oh, and they do this, meaning it's all here. And I said, well, you know, that's pretty risky. And you may get lucky, right? But it's really risky. Why? Because you can't control what the market, when you're ready to exit, you don't know what the market's going to be. You don't know what the economy's going to be. So while you're building and I have seen, it's like momentum. It's like, if you do the right things, everything works for you. If you put everything, I've watched people put everything in real estate and go bust, lose their business, lose their money, spouses. I mean, it crushes me. I mean, friends of mine that swore that it's all real estate. And I go, okay, well, that is wrong. And it's a mistake. And until it happens to them, then they come back and say, Troy, you were right. And or when the market crashes and you have a great portfolio, but you panic and you go in and click, I'm out, and sell when the market's down, again, don't call me first before you do that, because I come after. Now I can fix you after, but I can fix you better and earlier if you plan. It's like I do this speaking engagement for, I love entrepreneurs and business owners. So I speak on exit on your own terms. So if you are a business owner and you're putting all your money into your business, you need to stop and say, okay, I need to be a grown up here, and I need to decide on a percentage that I'm going to diversify as part of the diversification. I'm going to diversify some of my assets. So in that little commercial that they did, they showed the little Monopoly guy with his little bag of money coming out of ABC company, and he goes over into, an investment firm. So there's this big building with the dollars on this side, looks like a Roman. So he's moving a portion. So you should all do that. I mean, everybody should do that. And then you have to have someone that you trust that you can sit down. And I always say, why people come to me, whether they're an engineer or whether I love my engineers. They're so smart. They read every single report you give them. My entrepreneurs, they come in and say, okay, Victoria, tell me what to do. I said, well, first, where are we? We discover where you are, what you want. And then, like you said, what do we do? But I find out, have you been to a webinar? Have you read my book? Do you listen to the radio show? I find out first, what is your education level? And sometimes they come in, they got accounts all over the place. Maybe they were with corporations and they have 401ks sitting around. We clean it up. And then we put together a plan for you. So it's not you come in, like you go to the doctor and you say, okay, my throat hurts. And he goes, okay, here's a prescription. No. How long does it hurt? Do you have a stuffy head? Do you have a, congestion in your chest? Are you coughing anything up? What is the whole picture? So we get pretty detailed. I had a client after 6 months said, she was at a board meeting here in the office. She said, I didn't understand. I told my husband, Wallace, why in the world is she talking to us about our health and our health history? Why? And 6 months later, she tells everybody, like, oh, I get it. She wants to know everything, because if something happens to your health, or you have, like, in your history of family that, has a heart attack, averaging 50 years old, and you're 45 or 50, I'm going to be saying, hey, we need to think about this, and maybe we plan differently. So it should be custom. You should come in and we have a 6-step process. So by the time somebody gets to me, we look at your statements, we find out what your education level is. Then we look at, we get all the data, and then we make a phone call, and we make sure we're clear on everything you've presented, what your goals are, what you've written. And honestly, people don't even realize it. You actually do that like 3 times, because I ask you here, then I ask you there, and then I ask you again, and then I look at it all and go, oh, okay, now I know what they want.
Now I know.
Consistent. Yeah. And some's not. And it has to be husband and wife, because now you come together. So the next step is you initial, then you have this whole discovery, then you come in for an initial appointment, and then you talk about your real goals, and then you have to come up with a plan. So you have another appointment called recommendations and implementation. So we decide together, because you may have several options, but we weed out the thousands. So you're down to 1 or 2 or 3 at the most, and you get to choose. You have discussions about the level. And then once you implement it, goes off to the onboarding specialist. She sets up all your accounts nice and neat. Make sure you got your Roth, your non-qualified, all of it looks beautiful. Then we have an organizer that we put together for you with all this information, and we sit down and present it to you. And then you have what's called monitoring. So it's 4 steps in the process of that, but we have 6 steps. So it's really simple. And I talk about it here and why each one is important. And if your advisor you walk in and you have a meeting and they just want to sell you stuff right away, like, oh, we got the hottest stock on town. Well, so does everybody else. Now we need a comprehensive plan that looks like this, including some reports about Social Security, your baseline. What's that going to look like when you retire? And the thing is, people don't get, you go through 3 phases. You go through first the accumulation phase. Then you go through, okay, I got money now. I'm protecting it. So I'm in a preservation stage. And then I'm in a distribution stage. And that means money coming to me off, falling, it's like a cloud. It just comes into my account like a paycheck did while I work. Because that's the one thing people fear the most. They go like, well, how do I get my money? I go, that's
all right. So I love what you described, because I want the listeners to hear. So she just explained her process. And if you're not in financial advising, if that's not your business, still look at what she talked about. She created an entire educational system for the clients, even once they came in. So that's really important that you guys hear that. So a client comes in, she's educating them in the front before they even walk in, and then she's educating them through the process. And that, if I'm hearing you right, is how you make sure that you continue the retention. Because of that deep dive into the education, there is a
process,
true understanding of their need, their pain, and what they desire, their dream.
Well, and the other thing, Athena, life happens. So you've got to be able to have a plan. And then when life happens, and we all know what life happens. Somebody gets sick, somebody gets divorced. Things happen. It's like when we had a client come in for her portfolio review, and she was really distraught. And I, like, Paula, is everything okay? And she said, no, my 4-year-old grandson died. And it was just like, oh, and you have to, now I was not prepared for this. I touched her hand. I moved all of the reports aside. I said, honey, this is important to you, but not right now. What can we do? Talk to me. What can we do to help and support you through this? Or a death of a spouse. We've had 3 this year. And I have my advisors. This is our family. And they know that. CFS family. When you join us, you're joining a family. And we are going to be there for you. When we had that tornado, our CF family went to help our advisor, Damon, because his home got hit in Choctaw. They were out there with trucks. They were saying, I put out the word that, we need help. We need chainsaws. We need this. And these were clients that got pickup trucks, got chainsaws. We got generators. We got people out there to help clear his land. And he had just built his dream home a year ago. So his house was not damaged nearly like his, the others. But when you have a family, and you really, and if you don't want to build your business like that, that's okay. You don't have to. That's just what I'm saying. Our business culture is, and that proves it to me when that kind of thing happens, and when we're the first phone call. One of our clients passed away, Russell, and he was talking to his grandson at noon. He came over for lunch to have a IC with Grandpa, and he passed us away. And within 15, 20 minutes, the family's calling us. I'm not calling their attorney. They didn't even call their patent. They called us first. And I've always told my team, we want to give so much value and be so much part of everyone's lives that we are the first call. And so when that happens, and, that's demonstrated.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So wrapping up, what would be the one piece of advice? These are business owners, sales professionals, CEOs, entrepreneurial people that are listening. And they want to follow in your footsteps of utilizing education to get new business. What would be your one last piece of advice for them?
Well, the most important thing is what you have done. You create in your world your ideal client. You find out what their frustrations, fears, their all of that is. What is it? Like for us, we know our clients. This is bottom line. Our clients, every one of them, and every investor is concerned. The number one fear is running out of money. I don't care if they have 2 million or 20. They all feel the same way. The second thing is we know is that they want to go where they want, do what they want, with who they want, for as long as they want. And we let them know that we get you. We understand that's the goal. It's that whole the end result. It's like you start with the end in the beginning. When you know what the end result is, now you go back and go, how are we going to make that happen? So for business owners, creating content specifically for your ideal client. And that is whether you do things, you create content like we do and put it on the website, educational documents, statistics, reports from the Wall Street Journal. If it's doing the same thing and sharing that on social media, the most important thing you could do though, and that's the easy road, honestly, write a book. It's not so easy, but you do that as well. But the thing that you do is you create content via video. People want to see you. They want to know kind of who you are. People want relationships. They don't want to be sold. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to know that this is the kind of person I can relate to. And when you do the videos, and you do videos that are content, but then you throw in, something that you're doing in your own life. I have pictures of one of my nicknames now is Fairy Godmother because I'm godmother to two beautiful entrepreneurs in Canada. My dad was my maid of honor, and those are her daughters. So I'm their godmother. But now they have two little ones that were born. They're 3 and 4. And when they saw us, and it was all about our derby. And so they were showing them her pictures because it was COVID. And it was right after, and they're showing them pictures, and they said, oh my gosh, she's a fairy godmother. That stuck. So I will never have any other kind of name, but I am the fairy godmother to these.
I love this.
And so you let people know this is part of my world. Is all these little people, and the fact that we mentor people. We mentor young entrepreneurs. I mentor, especially, of course, enjoy mentoring young women. This morning, I was working with one of my mentees in New York, and she has an opportunity to still work for the corporation she's with, but have a side hustle. I think everybody should have a side hustle. I would never rely on a corporate gig at all, because that can be taken from you in a second. You can't do anything about it. So that's why I say I'm like a control freak. I want to control my destiny. So when I want to control my destiny, I just say, okay, this is what I want to do, Mr. Bill. I want to create this concierge service, and hugely successful. Okay, I want to create this business. The other thing I do for startup people is find somebody in the industry you're in and see what they are. And, you don't start at the bottom. You always ask, who is in the middle? Not at the top. I want to know the top. I don't want to know the middle, because that's where I'm going to start. And then you do everything that they do the way they do it until you've earned the right, because now you're as successful as them. And I do it in 30 days. I go, okay, what is it? I did this when I moved to Oklahoma. It was in September. I was top sales by the end of September by just doing. And this young lady I was talking to this morning, or sharing on an email, and I explained to her that success is nothing but this. You don't have to be, first of all, you've got God-given talent, but you're going to be successful if you do one thing. Like everybody thinks it's all these secrets, but it's one thing. Simply do. So simple. Simply do what other people are unwilling to do. Not incapable of it, just they're not willing to do it. Consistently.
Yes.
You can't.
I hear you.
You can't just go out and go, okay, one time and this is brilliant. My other favorite saying is, occasional brilliance. It's always, people think it's occasional brilliance. No, consistency will always outperform occasional brilliance.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. Jada, tell us what's next.
Yes. Well, what's next? If you want to connect with Victoria, we will put all the ways to connect with her as well as a link to her book in our show notes. Would love for you guys to grab a copy. I know we found everything that she talked about very valuable today, so I'm sure all of our travelers did as well. Aside from that, what's next for us is you can join us on our Success Revolution. It is our weekly blog filled with relationships, referral, revenue, where you will get those weekly insights straight to your inbox to help you take control of your sales, your revenue, and achieve your full potential. So we'll make sure that link is in the show notes, and we want to invite you to join us again next week. So do not forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. So we'll see you next week as Athena brings us real talk and real strategies. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.